How about not having Jarvis in this game for you?
Yeah, I mean Jarvis is obviously a big time leader for us, big time player. So I mean we just have to have a next man up mentality. You never want to have anybody go down, but we kind of hit on it after the game. It's next man up, and somebody's gonna have to fill that role. Those are big shoes to fill. So we're not asking anybody to do exactly what Jarvis does, but just to be themselves, and we'll be just okay with that.
Do you expect to have Odell Sunday?
We're seeing. I mean, that's not my call to make. Like we said before, it's whenever he's ready to roll. It's a long year, and we'll be ready to have him. Welcome in with open arms.
How's the non-throwing shoulder?
It's good. Hanging in there, attached still.
Kareem said he'd like to have you let him handle the tackling going forward. Is that the plan?
Well, he needs to get his ass up there and make it happen quicker. They're watching the tape, so Kareem's funny.
Hey, I mean, obviously you're a competitor. We know it. And you want to get in there, you want to try to make a play, or you want to pancake a cornerback with one arm. But have any of the coaches said, hey, we don't necessarily need you to take those risks?
I mean, I think on the interception, it's more so just be careful on how it's going. There's definitely plays where a defense is going to try and knock you out of the game. It's just the nature of the game, and yeah, just be careful.
Hey Baker, Kevin's going to make his decisions based on strategy, but when he says go for it on fourth or like the 2-point try in Kansas City, do you guys get a jolt out of that?
Yeah, I think not necessarily for me, but for everybody else, that shows his belief in us to go get the job done, giving us multiple chances to do it. And most of the time, he gives us a heads up. Hey, we're in 4-down territory. He also feels the flow of the game and how we're doing, how we're executing, and yeah, I just think that gives guys confidence and that self-belief.
You figure that your completion percentage is way up there, leading the league. How pleased are you with that, and how important is that stat?
I mean, I'm very pleased with that because that goes for everybody. That's protection. That's everybody being in the right spot at the right time, accuracy, ball out on time. Those guys making plays and finishing the plays. So for us, that's a whole team stat, and I think that's just gives credit to everybody else as well.
And after the game, I asked you about the incompletion, the one incompletion you threw, and you said, I wish I'd taken that throw out to
Oh, yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
How much does decision-making play into a high completion rate?
I think game planning and preparation is a huge part of that completion percentage, and just being on the same page of here's a certain look of guys, hey, the ball's going to come here, be ready for it. If you're a guy that might have to grab the attention of somebody on a route scheme, then it's just being on the same page, and we've done that so far, so we need to keep getting better.
Kind of off that, Baker, do you feel even more comfortable? Like, do you feel like Coach Stefanski is actually more comfortable even with you calling plays now, and that contributes to the high completion percentage?
Yeah, I think we've hit on it quite a bunch of that halfway point last year of the sitting down and talking through our schemes and what I was comfortable with and how he sees things, and I think we've just continued to grow ever since that point. And then also this training camp and being able to work some preseason game thoughts and see how different looks stack up against other defenses. I think that all contributes to the continued success.
Baker, how much do you pay attention to what some of the other quarterbacks in the league are doing, particularly somebody like Tyler?
I try and just keep up with the guys that I've been friends with, have a history with, just to check in on them. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm keeping up to compare, but I do know that Kyler's killing it right now, just from seeing the stat lines and whatnot, and just some of the highlight tapes that are being posted. So he's doing great right now.
How often do you communicate with him, Jordan?
Every few weeks, we're both somewhat busy and we understand that. So we catch up for a decent time period, and then it's off for a few weeks after that.
Demetrius Felton, what's he bringing to the table?
He's a versatile guy. I hit on it a little bit after the game. He's got a little bit of running back history, also wide receiver skill set. So it's a matchup advantage for us to see how teams are going to try and defend him in man coverage, or if they want to play zone. So just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands, and obviously good things happen when that happens.
Baker, I don't think you had Anthony on a post in the first quarter. Did you see him there and just not have enough time, playing top of the line?
Yeah, that was one of those on the third down. It's asking quite a bit from your O-line to block for a timing route like that. Obviously looking back, he's open, but that's one of those you got to trust it, you got to see it, and those guys have to hold up, and that's a tough job for them to be able to accomplish.
And I know Coach talked to Anthony about the pick. Did you have a discussion with him at all, or did he come up to you to talk to you about it?
Yeah, I mean we hashed it out. That's the trust factor of me playing on time, listening to my feet, the ball out when it's supposed to be. Obviously the safety was in a good position to break on the ball. It would have been a bang-bang play, but it's all the little things and the details, landmarks, depths that we've been harping on, and we need to continue to do that because we have 4 turnovers now, which we saw the stat that's tied for 24th in the league, which is that's not what we're about. So we need to continue to stress those little details and protect the football.
What type of luxury is it to have those 3 running backs, Demetric, Chubb, and Kareem, that can catch the ball out of the backfield?
Yeah.
For you as a quarterback, what does that do for you, especially now concerning you lose Jarvis?
Yeah, I mean, having those extra completions with those guys, it's essentially an extension of our run game with the checkdowns and whatnot, and that's also goes along with what I just said about listening to my feet and some of our deeper passing schemes and checking it down and trusting that a positive play is a good one. We're going to have our shot plays. If it's not there, that's okay. We'll call it again and move on. And I think that's just the growth in our offense and guys being patient and just trusting the system.
Baker, what stands out about that Chicago defense?
I mean, they're extremely talented. Obviously their front is they're a very good front. I mean, they have a lot of depth up front. Linebackers are flowing. I mean, Roquan and Ogletree, they're playing well. I think Eddie Jackson's a great safety, and they find ways to create plays, and you've seen that over the past couple of weeks with some turnovers and them being very aggressive.
How much of a focus is Khalil Mack?
I mean, he's one of those guys that you got to know where he's at all the time. We're expecting him to be on our right side pretty much the whole time, and just game planning. And that's the type of guy that he's going to get his plays in. You just got to limit it and not let it be a game changer. And that's luckily we're able to practice against 2 pretty good guys on the edge as well. But you have to be ready for a guy like Khalil Mack, that's for sure.
Carol asked about the running backs, but when you don't have a guy like Jarvis and we don't know about Odell yet, do you go into a game thinking maybe it's going to be more tight ends, more running backs, given you don't have your top guys?
Yeah, I mean, especially now that we're installing so far, for me, it's about still doing my job. We trust these guys, whether it's Schwartz, Higgy, Donovan. We played quite a bit with those guys last year, obviously minus Schwartz. So it's trusting those guys and me going through my reads and finding those completions, continue to stay on page and ahead of the chains. And I think that's the way this offense works.
You mentioned Higgins, Baker. He had the biggest snap jump from week 1 to week 2, and obviously when Jarvis went out. How nice is that to have somebody that's not a rookie like Schwartz or even just a year 2 guy like Donovan that you have a lot of reps with?
Yeah, it's great for those reasons when he goes down, because I don't think he was practicing at Jarvis's position. So for him to be able to fill in and step up, that takes a lot of communication, a lot of reps and experience from his part. So that's big time on his, for him to be able to be ready to go.
We've seen you roll out and you're able to flip your hips and shoulders and throw it to the other side. How tough are those throws to make? And when did you really become comfortable making that type of a throw?
I think getting your hips set to throw is one of the more important pieces, because if you look at my feet when I throw, it's not exactly orthodox. My left toe is closed off to the target, which is not the typical way of teaching throwing. So I think I always try and do a good job of getting my hips set to the target, and that's why I'm able to do those cross-field throws and some of the shot plays. That's just something that you got to work on, but it's also I've been fortunate to be blessed with.
Baker Donovan doesn't have a ton of catches. He's played a lot, but I mean, is this one just one of those things where he has to be patient and those things will come if he keeps doing what he's supposed to?
Yeah, Donovan is a patient guy, regardless. I mean, he knows he's one of those guys that the catches are going to come to him. That's kind of how last year went, and he's trusting the process as well. But he's a great teammate, and he's trying to do anything he can to help us win, special teams or offense.
Did you ever try to change your footwork so the toe was pointing at the target?
I didn't, because I'm a firm believer in you can either throw or you can't, and that's just always the way I've done it. So I'm not going to change that part of it now.
So I know you said you only need one shoulder, but when the left one's hurt, how does that affect you when you have to kind of use your whole upper body? I mean, you just talked about hips, and it's a lot more than just your throwing arm and hold.
Yeah, I mean, I think just do a good job of this week of getting treatment and doing all that, taking care of my body, all the things that I need to. Flying my physiotherapist. His name's actually Dave Matthews, not the band, but getting him in here and taking care of me, and He's a big reason why I've been able to survive for the last 3 years, and so just doing all the things that I have been doing, and just get ready for Sunday.
So for people who don't know, like, what does that look like? You go home and then you get worked on by him for a long time, or what's like?
Yeah, here during the day getting work when the breaks aren't happening, and then go home and getting that treatment that I need, and just, that's about being a professional. Just doing everything you can to be ready for Sundays, whether it's mental, physical, and all that. So you just have to do what you need to do.
What instrument or does he play?
He doesn't play any instruments. He thinks he can sing though.
Seen him perform?
If you call that a performance, yes.
When did you've had him your whole pro career, or before?
I got introduced to him by Drew Stanton. He's out of Arizona. I think he was with Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald pretty much their whole careers. So just one of those guys that I trust with my body, and a lot of our other guys see him too. So he's one of those guys that I'm fortunate to have. Like that. Like I said, it takes a village, and he's one of those key pieces for me.
When you see other quarterbacks go down, there were a couple that went down last week, does it make you think twice about, man, I should slide more, or I should try to avoid any unnecessary contact?
Yeah, I mean, that Sunday was, I think, just one of those days in the league where a lot of guys went down, coincidentally on the same day. But yeah, there's definitely plays where I could slide. Now, when it comes to having to get a first down and all that, I'm not going to change the way I play because, like I said, my mentality is always whatever I can do to help the team win.